ladies and gentlemen, there's a moment in life where the silence you carry starts to weigh heavier than the words you're too afraid to speak. A moment where your soul begins to whisper enough, but your fear tries to choke it back. But let me tell you something right now. Your silence, that quiet compliance after being disrespected, isn't keeping the peace. It's robbing you of your power. It's taking little pieces of your dignity and convincing you that keeping the status quo is worth your voice. But I came here tonight to tell you that it's not. It never will be. I know what you're thinking. What if I speak up and they still don't care? What if I stand up for myself and the room still turns cold? What if I lose the people I've been trying so hard to keep? Oh, but what if you don't? What if the cost of holding your tongue is your own self-worth? What if staying quiet is the very thing that keeps you bound to a cycle of disrespect? Because let me tell you, the enemy loves nothing more than to convince you that silence is safer than truth. But there's no safety in suppressing your value. There's no peace in shrinking yourself to fit someone else's comfort. You weren't created to be a doormat. You weren't placed on this earth to be walked over, dismissed, or ignored. And if someone can't see your value, it doesn't mean you're not valuable. It just means their eyes aren't equipped to handle your shine. So stop dimming your light to make someone else feel okay about disrespecting you. Stop apologizing for expecting to be treated with the same kindness and dignity that you give so freely. Stop explaining why your boundaries matter. Because here's the truth. People who are committed to misunderstanding you will never hear you, no matter how softly or loudly you speak. So don't speak to convince them. Speak to honor yourself. I'm not saying it's easy. Oh no. Speaking up can feel like standing on shaky ground, especially when disrespect has become the norm in your life. Maybe you grew up in an environment where silence was survival. Maybe you've been in relationships where voicing your pain only brought more harm. Maybe the world has taught you that being quiet is the price you pay for being accepted. But let me remind you of something, right? You don't need to beg for a seat at a table where respect isn't served. You don't need to sacrifice your voice to keep a peace that isn't real. God didn't create you to endure cycles of disrespect just to keep the peace. You were fearfully and wonderfully made, crafted with care, wrapped in purpose, and designed to walk with authority. And when you let someone treat you as less than what God says you are, you're not just allowing them to disrespect you, you're allowing them to disrespect the one who created you. That's why your voice matters. That's why speaking up isn't just about protecting your dignity, it's about aligning with the truth of who you are. You see, when you speak up, you're not just setting boundaries, you're sending a message. You're telling the world, I know who I am, and I refuse to settle for less than what I deserve. And let me tell you something about people who respect themselves. They shake up rooms. They challenge the status quo. They make the people who thrive on disrespect uncomfortable, but that's okay because your calling was never to make people comfortable. It was to walk in the fullness of who you are. Now, don't get me wrong. Speaking up doesn't always mean confrontation. It doesn't always mean loud words or heated arguments. Sometimes it means quietly removing yourself from a situation that no longer serves you. Sometimes it means walking away with your head held high even when your knees are trembling. And sometimes it means choosing not to explain yourself to people who have already decided they don't want to understand you. But whatever it looks like, know this: your decision to honor yourself will always cost less than your decision to stay silent. So this is my charge to you tonight. Stop making room for disrespect in your life. Stop letting silence be your response to what your soul is screaming is wrong. It's time to speak up. It's time to reclaim your power. It's time to show the world that you are not someone who can be dismissed or disrespected without consequence. Because when you honor yourself, you give others permission to do the same. And when you choose to stop staying quiet after disrespect, you step into the authority that's been waiting for you all along. You've got one life, one voice. Don't let it be silenced by fear or convenience. Speak, stand, shine. The world needs the real you, unfiltered, unapologetic, and unafraid to demand the respect you deserve. Silence after disrespect diminishes your self-worth and power. Speaking up honors your value and aligns you with your purpose. Respect yourself enough to walk away from environments that tolerate disrespect. Respect yourself enough to walk away from environments that tolerate disrespect. Your voice challenges the status quo and demands dignity. Choosing to honor yourself inspires others to do the same. Silence in the face of disrespect is often mistaken for strength or patience, but in reality, it can quietly chip away at your self-worth. Every time you let disrespect slide without addressing it, you teach yourself and others that your feelings, boundaries, and value are negotiable. It creates a cycle where disrespect becomes normalized, not just by those who offend you, but within your own heart. Over time, the weight of that silence builds, creating a gap between who you are and who you were meant to be. When you choose not to respond to disrespect, you're sending a message that your comfort, dignity, and truth are less important than avoiding confrontation. But silence doesn't protect you. It creates cracks in the foundation of your self-esteem. You begin to second-guess your worth, wondering if you deserve the way you're being treated. What's worse, it emboldens those who disrespect you, giving them permission to continue without consequence. Disrespect isn't just about the action, it's about the impact it leaves behind. And when you stay quiet, you carry that impact like a hidden wound, one that festers over time, robbing you of your sense of empowerment and replacing it with doubt and resentment. Speaking up after being disrespected is a declaration of your worth and a reminder of your purpose. When you choose to voice your truth, you're not just addressing the person who disrespected you, you're aligning yourself with the belief that you are deserving of dignity, kindness, and honor. It's not about retaliation or anger, it's about choosing to honor the value that God has placed within you. And every word you speak in defense of your boundaries is a reflection of the love and care you have for yourself. Remaining silent sends the message that disrespect is acceptable, but speaking up changes the narrative. It shifts the focus back to the truth, that your value is non-negotiable. It's not just about correcting others, it's about protecting your own spirit. Every time you stand up for yourself, you reaffirm the identity you've been given and reject the lies that disrespect tries to plant in your mind. Speaking up can be uncomfortable, but it's a form of self-respect that builds confidence and strength. It's not about being heard by everyone. It's about hearing yourself and knowing you didn't abandon your truth. Choosing to honor yourself in this way brings clarity and ensures that your actions reflect your purpose. Choosing to walk away from environments that tolerate disrespect is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you can make. When you remain in spaces where your value is ignored or diminished, you're inadvertently giving those around you permission to continue treating you that way. Walking away isn't about weakness or defeat. It's about recognizing that you deserve better and refusing to settle for less. It's about protecting your peace, your heart, and your dignity. Staying in a space where disrespect thrives can drain you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It creates an atmosphere of constant tension where you begin to question yourself and internalize the negativity around you. But when you choose to leave, you reclaim your authority over your life. You remind yourself that you are not defined by the way others treat you, but by the way you choose to respond. Walking away is not always easy, especially when it involves people or places you care about, but your growth requires environments that nurture your worth, not ones that undermine it. By removing yourself from spaces that fail to honor you, you make room for relationships, opportunities, and situations that align with your true value and purpose. It's an act of love and courage for yourself. When you choose to respect yourself enough to speak up, you challenge the status quo in ways that can shake the foundations of how others perceive and treat you. Disrespect often thrives in silence and complacency, and the moment you decide to push back, you disrupt the patterns that make it comfortable for others to diminish you. This isn't about creating conflict. It's about standing in the truth of your value and letting it shine so brightly that no one can ignore it. Your voice is powerful, and when you use it, it forces people to confront their behavior. Sometimes it makes them uncomfortable because it holds up a mirror to their actions, exposing the harm they may not have even realized they were causing. But discomfort is necessary for growth, both yours and theirs. By standing up for yourself, you set a new standard for how you will be treated, making it clear that you will not accept anything less than respect and fairness. Challenging the status quo is rarely easy. It might create tension or even resistance, but it also creates change. It invites accountability into the spaces you occupy and reminds others that you are not someone who will be overlooked or undervalued. Your respect for yourself sets the tone for how the world will treat you. When you choose to honor yourself by refusing to tolerate disrespect, you become a living example of what self-worth looks like in action. Your decision to value yourself is not just a personal victory. It's an inspiration for others who may be struggling to find their own voice. The world is filled with people who stay silent because they've been taught that speaking up is risky, that keeping the peace matters more than protecting their dignity. But when they see you stand firmly in your truth, it creates a ripple effect that challenges them to rethink their own boundaries. Your courage becomes a guide, showing others that it's possible to demand respect without losing yourself in the process. It's not about being confrontational, it's about being clear. Clear about who you are, what you deserve, and what you will no longer accept. That clarity gives others permission to evaluate their own lives and see where they've settled for less than their worth. When you honor yourself, you create a shift in the atmosphere around you. People begin to recognize the strength it takes to stand up for your value, and that strength is contagious. Your actions plant seeds of empowerment, showing others that their voice matters too. Choosing not to stay silent after disrespect is not just about standing up to others, it's about standing up for yourself. It's about recognizing the value that was placed within you the moment you were created and refusing to let anyone diminish it. When you honor yourself, you step into a power